So things happen, and there often comes a blessing for it. But whatever happens, we don't want to waste the good blessing by not acknowledging that. We also, we don't want to waste any tear or pain that we go through. Now, when I talk about that, I'm talking about God says that He wants to come in, whatever we're going through, and comfort us so we in turn can comfort other people. From New Life Ministries, this is Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn. I'm Stephen Arterburn. And Going Deeper is all about taking the tough issues, the hard issues of life, looking a little bit deeper inside so that we can gain some insight into our lives. Hi there, welcome to Going Deeper. As many of you know, I love fountain pens, and my good friend Dr. Dave Stoop, who left us on March the 10th, well, he gave me this one, and I love it. And I just wrote out the letter L. We've been going through the alphabet, and here we are at the letter L. Usually I've got a word for each letter, but I've got 3 words for you. And it's kind of the way that I go through life. So here it is. Things happen to people. Good things and a lot of bad things. And of course, you know, we have to make an adjustment. We have to respond to whatever happens. And sometimes, of course, the worst things that could ever happen eventually become great moments in our life. And things that we never dreamed we were going to do, we do because of this horrible thing that happens. You know, I was really in trouble in college, and I was on antidepressant medication by my first year at Baylor University. But I made a major transformation, and I'm so glad I did. But because of what I went through, I had such compassion for people who were experiencing what I was experiencing that it really led me to seminary to study counseling, get my degree over at University of North Texas, and to start this organization. And so you could say that pain and suffering and struggle really led to some very, very good things in my life, and of course led me to seek out other people so that I wasn't isolated. So things happen, and there often comes a blessing for it. But whatever happens, we don't want to waste the good blessing by not acknowledging that. We also, we don't want to waste any tear or pain that we go through. Now, when I talk about that, I'm talking about God says that He wants to come in, whatever we're going through, and comfort us so we in turn can comfort other people. And a lot of times people don't make that transition. They don't, they just don't do it. They don't reach out, and so they're miserable, absolutely miserable. They don't make the best of it. In fact, they make the worst of it, you could say. Well, there are 3 words whenever something happens that I go to, and they really help me get through life. You may think this is so superficial that you never tune into Going Deeper again. So maybe we're not going so deep. But here is my first word. When something happens to me, I want to look for, it's the L word, I want to look for the Lord. Where is the Lord in this? Okay? Maybe the Lord is not in this. Maybe this happened because someone abandoned the Lord. Someone was looking somewhere else. But maybe, just maybe, and here's a really key phrase, for the greater good, the Lord allowed something to happen for the greater good. It might not have felt like it was for anything good when I was going through it, but sometimes we suffer because for the greater good, God has another thing in mind that mixes in and involves our suffering and the wisdom, knowledge, and compassion that can come from it. So when something happens, it is really a good idea to stop for a minute and say, where is the Lord in all of this? and see, look, step back, look, is God at work here? And how can I work with God? It could be a loss of somebody you love deeply. Where is the Lord? The Lord's there wanting to comfort us and wanting us to accept this gift of grieving that will help us to move on from whatever it is that we've struggled with. The second word, lesson. So where's the Lord in all of this? And where's the lesson that I could learn? How could I become wiser, smarter? How could I become more insightful from whatever has happened? I'm not just going to take it on the surface. I want to go deeper, and I want to look at this and see if there's something to be learned. Often, what we learn is, wow, I did it again. I took the easy way that got me off the path that God had for me, and I need to learn that lesson. You know, Jeremiah 6:16 says, stop at the crossroads and look around and search for the old godly way and walk in that path. And a lot of times we get off that path. And if we'll stop and look at where did we get off, why, what was the motivation, what was the consequence, we can learn a lesson from whatever that we have been through. So it's the Lord, it's the lesson, and then for me, there's one other L word, laughter. Where is the twist here that we can go to? There is evidence, there's research that shows that in the worst losses and the grieving process, laughter can really help us get through it. I remember when my dad died, I went into about a 30-day grieving process. And it was so sad for me. And I was sad for Madeline, who wasn't going to get to grow up with this wonderful grandfather that she had. And, you know, when you're grieving, it just like strips everything away, if it's true grief. And I had a lot of people say to me, you know, Steve, I kind of liked you better when you were grieving. Well, I get that. There was no fake, there was no facade. It was just me. So in the midst of that, we started as a family, without my dad, we started to think about his sense of humor. We started to retell some of the jokes that he would tell. And we started to laugh even though he wasn't there. And it was so helpful and healing. I would imagine that 3,000 times my father told the joke of falling rock and running water. Two Native American Indians who were told by the chief, whoever goes out and brings in the most game gets to marry his daughter. Off goes running water and off goes falling rock. And within a day, falling water is back with a deer and a bear wrapped over his shoulder and several muskrat, puts it down at the feet and says, well, I guess I get to marry your daughter. He said, no, we've got to wait for Falling Rock to come in here. Well, Falling Rock never came. And to this day, if you're in Colorado, for instance, and you go around a curve, you might see signs that still say, watch for Falling Rock. Now that joke, my father would crack up. He would be crying. The 3,000th time he told it, he would be crying before he ever got finished with the joke. And so when we looked at that and we started to laugh at those kinds of things, it was so much fun and healing. So rather than stay down, we can go through a grieving process and still look for some source of healing laughter from somewhere. So that's my letter L here in Going Deeper. Whenever something happens, where's the Lord? What's the lesson? And how in the world could some laughter come from this? I've used J words. Jesus. Where's Jesus in all this? And where in the world is the joy that we can find, and where's the joke? And so I don't know if that's helpful to you, but I hope that it is. Perspective is so important. And we can get so down on ourselves that we didn't prevent something, or down on God that He didn't prevent something. we can just get lost in our sadness. But there is a path out. And I hope that this has helped you take that path out. So thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. Next time we're together, you won't believe this, but we're going to do the letter M. And I'll tell you what that stands for next time. See you then. Thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. I hope something I've said may have helped just a little bit. If you have a question you'd like me to answer or comment, just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com. I'll see you next time.
If you want to support Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, be sure to share it with them. See you on the next Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries.